So why don't we just do a quick little bit of background. So I'll go on to what Dana did before. So I've been lucky enough to create companies since I was a kid. Almost all of them have been around the idea that small business is what creates color in the world. Like it is the inspiration, it's the generation of innovation that creates all the patents. It does everything that's important. So for the last 4 or 5 companies, they've all been focused on this. One of my big companies is a video company that got acquired. That's sort of one of the players in creating video for small businesses to get out there. Then I created Squarespace, which is a publishing platform. And then most recently SumAll, which is an analytics platform. And our mission is to try to help companies succeed in one fashion or another.
I just make coffee. I started Birch Coffee about almost 9 years ago. We just opened our 10th location. We're working on our 11th. The gap that we saw in the market was the approachability to specialty coffee. There's a lot of places that you can go and get a really good cup of coffee, but I don't think it's made to be as accessible as it should be. We also saw a gap as far as service goes. I'm a consumer first, and I'm a business owner second. And so for me, the most important thing is how we're engaging our customers and making sure that everyone feels welcome, because for most people, a cup of coffee is their first interaction in the day, and that should be the most pleasant one to really get people started off on a good foot for the day. So that's our big focus, and I think we were fortunate enough to be partnered up, and it's kind of a funny story, but a lot of the things that were giving us the headaches that we were getting were things that were just not being, I guess the expectation was that people were going to do these things correctly, and we were just continually disappointed. So what we wanted to try to do was take those things off of people's plates, systemize them so that people can really just focus on making a really good cup of coffee and giving customer like an excellent customer service experience. So that's kind of what we're all about. You can check us out. We're all over the city. So
I think we're basically going to cover how technology's been helpful for stuff. So I might just grill you first before we get into the other parts of it. I think that there's been an evolution change, and you see these major enterprises using a lot of technology to power their systems. It's how they get the economies of scale. It's kind of unfair that small businesses don't have them. So sort of what's been your experience in trying to find pieces of technology to throw in?
I would create, and I am by no means a web developer at all, but I can cut and paste. And so I was doing a lot of that to create forms on our website so that it would kind of streamline submissions for ordering, if people needed to get in contact with us. So everything was set up on the back end of our site. We thought we were kind of, I thought it was a bit antiquated, and then when SumAll came along, they're like, actually, you guys are kind of doing a really good job on that thing. So that made us feel a little bit better. But the scheduling, I mean, we used to do scheduling with just Excel spreadsheets, and it was not, it just didn't seem to work as well as we wanted it to. Then we started using a platform when I work. So that was allowing us to do scheduling a little bit more easily. And now we're working with another company called Legion. And what Legion does is basically it's smart scheduling. So they schedule based on how many items we're selling in any given hour. And we've added up the time that it takes to do all of those transactions. And so this system basically figures out, okay, in order to handle that many items and that many transactions, you are utilizing, you need 3 people. And so it will schedule 3 people. And then there are all these different rules that we can kind of put in, but it's taken the guesswork out of scheduling. We've been, running into a little bit of, I guess, pushback with our staff because it's a change. And it's an improvement, but people tend to see it as a change, and so a lot of times people are resistant to that. But at the end of the day, it's making things more efficient. So we do things like that. But the biggest headache was the ordering. I think that was a huge thing for us, and I think that was how we really connected. And the waste that we have at the end of the day with pastries, it was really upsetting to see and it was actually really costly to try to get people to come and pick up the waste and donate it. So a lot of it was ending up in the trash. and we wanted to basically order just what we need.
Sure, so I'll go into our little spiel now. So we, just like Legion, connect to their Square terminals in their 10 locations. And by watching what happens in that Square terminal, we can really accurately predict not only what's been transacted that day, but mixing it with the weather and tons of other data sources, we can guess for the next 2 weeks down to the croissant, how many they're gonna sell every single day. So our AI makes that projection, and then our AI calls the vendors. So we send Sands a note being like, we need 15 on Friday and 6 on Sunday and 20 on Monday, which is a bit of a nightmare in some parts, but it does mean that we're not throwing anything out. So we see a waste reduction in some places as much as 80%. Birch is really well organized, so it's more like 20%, whatever. But it does save a lot of costs. But I think the bigger thing that we've been excited about is there's so many jobs that you do running a small business, and when people get into the idea of running a small business, it's usually because they want to do something creative or bring something new to the world, and they realize there's all these pain in the ass things you got to do, which suck, and ordering is one of them. So as soon as you can free up that mental space and not think about, God, how many croissants do I need on Friday, or how much milk do I need on Sunday, you can start to put your energy into how do I make the customer experience better, or how do I innovate a new drink or anything else.
Just to kind of tag on to that, we still do have to rely on people, right? Because if people are ringing in the wrong items, I mean, there was one situation I think where we've talked about where there was, so in the Square terminal, basically it'll say donuts, and then you click donuts, and then there's all these different variations of donuts. And so it'll default to one particular donut, and there were times where that particular one wasn't delivered to that store, and yet we sold 6 of them. Yeah, and so it was really throwing off. The numbers and because the scale is so small right now, we're able to have a conversation and say, hey, you guys should let your staff know that they need to be bringing in the right items. So there's a lot of that stuff that's going on now as well. But we want our staff to be able to focus on the customer interaction, because that's what we feel like we can't have AI for right now.